Welcome to the Land Your Bets podcast. I'm your host, Nate Weitzer, here bringing you NFL content this season. Happy to be on board with my boy, Josh Lander. Some of you guys might know us from the Coast to Coast podcast. We've been doing NBA for a while, NFL player props, but it's exciting to be on here, not just giving out props, which we are going to be doing on the channel. Don't get me wrong. And coming off a nice Thursday night opener there with the props. But what we're doing here in this episode is a pick five. We're going to pick 5 games against the spread. We're going to be bringing you this video twice weekly where possible, sort of based on the popular contests that have come out on CBS and other platforms where you get the opening line, it locks on Tuesday, and then you pick your 5 games against the spread. We're going to be looking at this more from a general betting perspective so that it's still useful here leading right up to game day. Look at the opening line, look at the closing line, talk about why we still like it or whether we like the flip side of that, so we're going to bring it to you on Tuesday and Friday or Saturday each week. And yeah, let's jump right into it here with the first game, Detroit and Green Bay. This is a popular one for sure. And I think the Packers have gained a lot of steam. I mean, the number moved a full point when Micah Parsons was traded. I still want to take the Packers, even though we are now sort of riding with the public at this point. I mean, the trends would indicate we're all about the Lions, right? I mean, the last few years, Dan Campbell has won 5 of 6 against the Packers, 5 of the last 6, that is. The Packers are 1-5 their last 6 at home against the division. Everything indicates Lions were absolute nails on the road the last 2 years. They were fantastic last year, but not so fast, right? I mean, this is Jared Goff outdoors. Jared Goff had to play 2 games outdoors last year in the regular season, and one of those was at Green Bay. He did not perform very well, but Jordan Love was even worse because he was playing through a hip, like a really bad strained hip groin / situation, just like limping around through a really bad pick 6 at the end of that first half, if you guys remember. And Lions wound up winning 24-14, but they were outgained 411 to 261. Josh Jacobs running all over them. And I think the Packers have an edge there at the line of scrimmage on both sides now, as the Lions are dealing with interior line turnover. Frank Ragnow retires. Zeitler now with the Titans. And like I mentioned, no Ben Johnson to make Goff look good, even when he is in these bad spots, like playing outdoors. Yes, it's September. Yes, it's not bad weather yet. But this Packers defense is going to be very good. Certainly if Micah Parsons is a full go, that is a huge deal. It's worth a point of line movement. But really, it's a cap of just saying, like, the Packers are a more complete offense now. Love is healthy now. And that is just enough of a difference for me to want to back the home team under a field goal, to have these teams power rated right next to each other on the site, which, by the way, is going live next week, landyourbets.com. We got the power rankings 5-6. So for the Packers to be under a field goal at home, that means it's a little bit of value. I think you still take it. Game 2, we got Bucs at Falcons, another divisional matchup. We got actually the Falcons as home dogs, plus 2.5. It's been bet down a little bit to plus 1.5. Still like it. The money line is now about even here as we approach kickoff because the Bucs are hella injured. So I think people understand that this might be a wrong team favored situation. Tristan Wirfs is out, maybe the best left tackle in the league. You're talking about dropping from a guy with a 94 PFF grade last year to Charlie Beck, who had a 41 PFF grade. So big hit to the run game. That's why we took the under on Bucky Irving for player props. In any case, it's why you should like the Falcons a little bit more, as they have a much improved defense here. They picked up 2 first-rounders for their front 7. They picked up Leonard Floyd to hold down that 3-4 defense. And Jeff Ulbrich now on board as the defensive coordinator. Not a good interim coach with the Jets last year, but should be good as a coordinator, especially with improved personnel back there. Godwin and McMillan are also out for Baker Mayfield here. And, of course, Liam Cohen out as the offensive coordinator. Huge brain drain there for the Bucs offense. I don't think that Baker's going to be looking quite as good without that man calling the plays for him. There is some concern here for Michael Penix in one of his first starts going up against Todd Bowles, but this aging defense that the Bucs have, not as much of a concern as far as the personnel getting to Penix. And Atlanta was just fantastic on scripted plays last year. Fantastic when they just give the ball to Bijan Robinson. They still have a very good interior offensive line. Should be able to stay on schedule in that regard. And if you're on schedule and you're up at home, that means the pass rushers are going to be let loose in the second half. and hopefully close this thing out for you if you're taking the Falcons. Game 3, another bird. Arizona up from -5.5 to -6.5 at NOLA, and still taking it under a touchdown. I mean, the Cardinals, massive talent gap here. They are one of the more talented, I mean, above average talent here in the league, and the Saints are the Aints. You know, they do not have much talent other than a few good skill players, but can Spencer Rattler get them the ball consistently? Probably the worst starting quarterback in the league for anyone's money. He went 1-5 against the spread last year. They averaged just 12 points per game in those starts, and he had a 49 rating on third down. For anyone who poo-poos on Derek Carr, and lots of people do, because an NFL quarterback, you take a lot of flack and he makes some mistakes. He had a 109 rating on third down. Like, professional quarterback stood in there, made some gutsy throws, especially early in the season. He was shredding people, and Spencer Rattler has done nothing to show that he is ready to face a good defense. And this Cardinals defense continues to get better in terms of personnel. Jonathan Gannon continues to show that he is worthy of a head coaching position. 60% ATS for him is the second best in the NFC. And he's going against a rookie coach, Kellen Moore, who has said he really wants to play fast, which is great if you want to take a large favorite. If you're going to say, we're going to play fast, we're going to have more possessions, and we have a turnover-prone quarterback. So hopefully that gives the Cardinals the ball in scoring position, gives them the opportunity to open this lead a little bit more, and takes away some of my concern about, you know, the Superdome is an impressive home field advantage and a scary place to play in week 1. That might make you feel a little wary about fading the Saints as they come out potentially strong in that regard. But Kyler Murray can quiet that crowd against a front seven that's really bad against rushing QBs, and he can just get that edge on third down and extend drives, I think, and really just keep the Cardinals offense marching. They got James Conner, they got Trey McBride, Chase Young not even practicing for the Saints. So just what do they have in the front seven? And in terms of like veteran leadership at this point, Tyrann Mathieu is retired. Like what veterans are there to really like hold this down and come out strong in week 1? I'm not buying anything related to the Saints. Still another a bird here is the Ravens, and this is flipped. It originally was Ravens plus 1.5. They're now -1, -1.5 at most books at Buffalo. Absolute premier matchup here for Sunday night. The last two MVPs. Lamar is 3-1 in the regular season against Josh Allen, and there is a bit of a revenge narrative here in terms of they just lost to them in the playoffs on account of 3 turnovers. Not really Lamar's fault. In the regular season, when these teams met last year, if you remember, it was in Baltimore, but it was just domination. It was 35-10 Ravens. It was a 271-81 rushing edge. Bills only went 3 for 13 on third down. Josh Allen moving around, had no one to throw to, and Khalil Shakir got injured in that game, I believe. He is now expected to play after missing all of camp with a sprained ankle. So how effective is he going to be? Keon Coleman popped up with a groin injury. The Bills have 3 cornerbacks on the injury report with injuries as well. And the Ravens are relatively healthy. I mean, as healthy as you'd expect in week 1 here. No random injuries like that with the groin and the ankle. And they're the number 1 roster in the NFL. Like, I think most people would agree they're number 1 in our power rankings, number 1 in the AFC. They have a much improved secondary, and that kind of takes away the one hole that they had in the first half of last season as Zach Orr, the new defensive coordinator, found his footing. They went from one of the worst to one of the best pass defenses, and they just added to that. Chidobe Awuzie, Jair Alexander, drafted the rookie Starks to go along with Kyle Hamilton, who for my money is the best safety in the league. It's just going to be tough for these Bills receivers, these Bills skill players to do anything. You got to respect Josh Allen, but how far can he just carry a team on his back that is overmatched in all the other X's and O's areas that is football? So I think Lamar comes out, gets the opener this year after they had that heartbreaker at the Chiefs last year. He's still 5-1-5 of his last 6 openers has Lamar, and is still probably the most unstoppable regular season player in the NFL, despite what has happened in the playoffs at times. Closed it out here with a double revenge game. We got Steelers at Jets, Aaron Rodgers against Justin Fields after they traded places. And the line has fluctuated around the key number here, -2.5. It's now pretty solidly -3 for the Steelers. So could be a situation where you buy that half point if you think it's going to come down to a field goal. I think there's a chance the Steelers win this by 10 plus. I'm looking at a parlay. Steelers money line with the Jets team total under 20.5 or 21.5, and you're at plus money, because I just don't think this Jets offense is going to have any success against what I'm calling the return of the Steel Curtain. This is a dominant defense as long as they can stay healthy. Like, absolutely terrifying for a quarterback when you have TJ Watt, you have Highsmith, and then you even have Nick Herbig, who filled in for those guys who constantly get injured. And when he was in there in the middle of last season, he was still leading a above average pass defense. Oh, by the way, they added Jalen Ramsey, they added Darius Slay, and they moved Porter Jr. as the slot cornerback. Very solid there. So they are well positioned to deal with what is just a terrible receiving core besides Garrett Wilson, just probably the worst in the league. You take him out of there. They have Cam Hayward up the middle. So all this talk about, Aaron Glenn pounding the rock, that's what they want to do, the Jets. I don't know how good it's going to be against Cam Hayward, who the Steelers allowed 3.7 yards per carry when he was out there versus 5.1 when he was not last year. Even at age 36, graded one of the best defensive tackles in the league. Teams just gave up trying to run on the Steelers. So then you put it on the shoulders of Justin Fields. Just removing the S from him here in our graphic. Justin Field, because he was on the scout team last year for the Steelers. So they got a good look at him on that practice field. Probably often doubled in as Lamar Jackson before they had to play him. So practice against the mobility there. And the Steelers were the best defense by far against Lamar really last year, really the last few years, as far as corralling him, keeping him from running. And that's what we're scared of if you're talking about Justin Fields, is can he take off? Can he be part of this rushing attack that Aaron Glenn wants to implement? Probably not. It's a rookie coach against Mike Tomlin, who is as good as it comes in the NFL, won 5 of his last 6 openers. And it's a poor home field advantage for the Jets, who went 3-5 last year at home, minus 66 in the point differential at MetLife. And you might say, well, Aaron Rodgers was their quarterback. That's why they were so bad. It's like, sure, I understand. I'm not saying, Rodgers over Fields, huge talent gap here. I'm saying Rodgers is now in a situation in an ecosystem where he goes from maybe the most dysfunctional team franchise in the NFL to maybe the most consistent and functional, and the ecosystem around him with that kind of defense, with that kind of solid, play calling now that at least, the Steelers are decent in that department. All he has to do is manage the game. Like, you can be a game manager at age 41, dink and dime, whatever, set it up for the best kicker in the AFC, Chris Boswell, to come in there and hit a few in a low-scoring game. This is the lowest total of the week. So all the Steelers need to do is play good defense, get out of there with a win. And that's all for us in our Week 1 Pick 5 edition of the 5 Against the Spread. Land Your Bets channel is going to be live. We're going to be ramping up as the season goes along. The website will have everything you need. Check out the Discord on Sunday morning. Feel free to pop in there, ask questions. We're going to be providing player props, early looks going into Week 2, and early looks against the spread as well, and all that good content. So like and subscribe to the page, follow along. Until we see you next, happy betting.